M. Night Shyamalan films seem to either knock it out of the park or strike out on 3 straight pitches. His last film, Old, was comically underwhelming, but his newest, I think, is a true return to form for a filmmaker that never lacks ambition. So let's get into Knock at the Cabin to talk about what I loved, what I didn't, and why I think you need to add this one to your weekend watch list.
I will ask for the last time. Will you make a choice?
The setup here is relatively straightforward. Eric and Andrew bring their young daughter Wen out to a cabin in the woods for a quiet, normal vacation, but not long into their family time, they're taken hostage by these 4 random strangers who claim that they must make this monumental choice that could avert a cataclysmic apocalypse. So naturally from there it gets a bit more complex, and I absolutely adored this movie for what it was able to accomplish. Now I won't go into spoilers, but I think Shyamalan really thrives in this film because he's given source material to adapt from. I haven't read the short story this is based on, but as a film it was nearly riveting from start to finish. Shyamalan doesn't need to deliver some mind-bending twist here, and I really did love that because the story is able to just kind of gel as it should. It's a grounded and grim story that's fueled by just the emotional intensity of the characters. I think this really does allow Shyamalan to focus on the direction, and I think it results in one of his most well-directed movies overall, because I really enjoyed how he maneuvered the camera around these characters to capture the needed impact for so many moments throughout, and it had me just completely engaged in what was happening and where things would go. And I thought the cinematography as well was excellent because it really opens things up inside of this cabin. But don't get me wrong, just because Shyamalan doesn't insert some fancy flip you on your head moment in this movie doesn't mean that Knock at the Cabin doesn't have that Shyamalan vibe, because it definitely does, and I really did love that part of this movie. I mean, from the doses of dry levity to break the tension to establishing that hook of curiosity to lure you in early on, this and other Shyamalan traits are noticeable throughout, and I think it really adds to the overall atmosphere of the movie very well. This movie gets going quickly to reel you into the mystery. It litters in the information needed to kind of form the plot's foundation with what I thought was an even dosage to kind of keep the intrigue locked in, and I think it's just absolutely carried by an exceptional collection of performances. This movie was so well acted. I love the characters in this movie from a writing side, and I think each is really elevated by the cast member playing it. Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge were great. I really did like their chemistry together, and with young Kristen Sui, who I thought was so strong in her performance as well, and David Bautista. I mean, what can you say? I mean, this guy was a scene stealer, and this was easily his best performance. He captures the torment and the determination of his character so well, and he really does carry this film on his big shoulders with ease because he's given depth, he's given a lot of emotional range, he's given plenty of intensity and so much more inside of this character, and Bautista delivers it all because there's ramifications, there's consequences explored, and it's just gut-punching on so many occasions because you really do connect to these characters. So the direction, the completeness of this story overall, and it being so well acted, I think are what make this such a compelling movie that will have you thinking and just connecting to all of these characters. It is a horror movie, but it's not a visual horror. It's much more mental and built on gritty themes, and it's just a very consuming film. Now, if you were to get into some of the small issues with this movie, I think they were ever so slight because I really did enjoy it, but I would say there were some pacing issues during the middle of the story. It does get a little bit repetitive during the middle act. None of it's near a deal breaker level because I do think getting to know more about these characters is certainly engaging, and that is when a bulk of this happens. But on the flip side of that, I will say this movie does feel a little bit longer than it actually was, yet I was never bored. I mean, there were some slight tweaks I would have made to certain characters and certain directions of the story, but without getting into spoilers, I'll leave it at that. Go see Knock at the Cabin. It's a great time, and I'm going to give it a solid A. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching my review of Knock at the Cabin. Hope you've enjoyed it. What are some of your favorite Shyamalan movies? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys all once again for all of your continued support. You guys are all fantastic. And until the next video, movies never say die.
This is Jack Burton in the Pork Chop Express, and I'm talking to whoever's listening out there.
To have a war, you gotta become war.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon. trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?